Hey, it's Callan from Authentic Lifestyle Design, and today I want to talk to you about the power of positive thinking. This is something that is insanely useful. It has a massive impact on your psychology, and it really allows you to see the tank as half full rather than half empty. And that approach towards life has amazing benefits in so many ways. Being able to see something that might even be a bad thing that happens to you and being able to frame that thing as a positive, being able to see that tank as half full, will have a massive impact on your psychology, right? Because if you're thinking negative thoughts all the time, you're training your mind to do more of that because your brain responds to stimuli. So if you're always telling yourself that you're worthless, that you're not good enough, that you're a piece of rubbish, that you're all these things, right? Then over time you'll actually start to believe those things, and that'll change everything. That'll change your physiology, it'll change your body, change your posture. You'll be like this all the time. You're really closed off, right? And all these other things that are just going to mess with you. Having these chains of negative thoughts that limit you aren't going to be any help to you. And one of the keys to get rid of those limiting thoughts, to become something more, is to be able to frame things as a positive, to be able to think positively. And that benefit, it creates the same kind of feedback loop, but a positive one, because then you're doing things that are helping you. You're framing things as a positive, and you're seeing the bright side of the coin every single time. And you're training yourself to be okay with things, even if they go wrong. You're training yourself that if your life falls apart for whatever reason or whatever happens, say a girlfriend leaves you or you lose some money or whatever it is, you can move past it. You can move on. You can maintain a sense of being happy and healthy and being able to healthfully move past and integrate any experience. And that all comes down to your mindset, The same thing can happen to many people, and their responses can be completely different because it's a result of their psychology. It's a result of how their experiences and how they themselves have wired their mind over their lifetime. And being able to wire your mind in a positive, effective way sends ripples into your life that allow you to live a far more fulfilling experience. So let's talk about the power of that and some of the techniques you can use to do that. Okay, so positive thinking is being able to see that glass is half full, right? And the benefit of that is you can move through things more effectively. So, for example, if I lost 10 grand, which would not be great, but if I lost 10 grand, I could frame that in two ways. Number one, I could frame that and go, oh, that's so terrible. You're such a useless piece of crap. You're losing 10 grand, or what an idiot, huh? And that can play on my mind for weeks or months or whatever and make me feel miserable. The alternative is I lose 10 grand and I look at that and I just say, well, that's not a great thing, but there was a lesson in that. I learned this, and now I know not to do this again because that resulted in me losing money. And from here on out, I know what to do. So in the future, when something bigger comes along where I could potentially lose more money, now I don't need to go through that anymore because I've learned my lesson from losing this money here. And therefore, you framed that to be a positive. Like for another example, say that a girl breaks up with you. Option one, you can see the tank is half empty. You can have this defeatist attitude. And you can basically be saying things along the lines of, oh, this girl broke up with me. It makes me feel so terrible. I'm so unloved. I'm so worthless. I can't keep a girl around. I feel so horrible that I just can't seem to get this girl. And she was the only one. She was the only girl for me. And I'm not going to be able to move past this. I'm just going to be depressed and miserable. And I'm never going to meet someone like that again in my life, right? Tank half empty. That attitude's not going to help you. Or you could frame it in the positive. The same thing could happen to two people. One person frames it in the positive and they say, oh, that girl broke up with me, which isn't great. But, we didn't click in these ways. We didn't have these things. Or we didn't have these connections in these ways. The relationship wasn't really working how it used to. So now that she's broke up with me, I can take all these amazing lessons and all these things I've learned from this relationship and the gift of the experience that we got to share together. And now I can bring those across into my life, and I can bring those into my next relationship so that the next time I meet a girl and we get serious, it's going to be an even more beautiful, even deeper experience. And I'm really excited to meet that person, right? All of a sudden the tank's half full. Same thing's happened. You framed it in two different ways. Now, that doesn't necessarily sound any different, and that's really hard to do because there's sort of this addiction to negative feelings people can get where bad things happen and they just feel like they feel miserable, but at the same time they feel like it's a part of their personality, and because they feel it's a part of their personality, it's really hard for them to transcend it. So in that way, it can be really hard for some people to see the tank as half full, right? But making that a practice, the more you do it with the little things in your life, the better your mind gets at it. So if you do it for a couple of years, all of a sudden you just naturally see everything as positive. You see everything as, okay, well, the tank's half full, not half empty. All the time, say someone you love gets sick and they die, you could frame that negatively quite obviously, and you could say, oh, that person died, it's terrible, I'm never going to have another person like that in my life, it's the end, it's so miserable, right? You could do that. Or you could go from the positive and you could say, oh, that person, we had some amazing memories together, I'm so grateful I got to meet them, and now they've gone, but even though they've gone, we have all these memories, and I've got all these memories of them and the amazing person they were and the amazing life they lived, and I'm so grateful to have met them. You're framing things in a positive way, and doing that regularly just makes your brain really powerful. Like, for example, I was going on a date with this girl, and for no reason, she seems like a really lovely person, but she had to go into work, okay? And because she had to go into work, I could frame that in two ways, because it was something I was looking forward to. I thought it'd be fun. It seems like we'd have a fun connection together. But two ways I could have looked at that. Option one, because I had no other plans after that. Option one, I could have gone, oh, this is horrible, this girl isn't going out with me. She probably just made up that she has to work because she doesn't want to go out with me, and that makes me feel miserable and sad, and I'm never going to find love. I'm never going to do this. I could have this defeatist, bad attitude about it. But who does that serve? That's not going to make me feel better. That's not going to make anyone feel better. That energy is not going to be useful whatsoever. Or I could frame it in the positive and say, okay, cool, this girl has to work and she's doing that, so that shows that she's got a real strength and character, that she's going into work and that she's helping the people that care about her and that help her and then employ her, which is a really strong trait in a person, right, for a start. And then I could say, well, all right, then we'll reschedule it and we'll go on the date another time, so I'll look forward to it then. And in the evening, it's like, okay, now I've got some space and I'll work on my music and I'll work on the book I'm writing and all these things. And it doesn't really matter, it ended, it's an experience that could have happened that didn't. So I'm just going to do these other things instead, and I'll still enjoy my night and I won't really think about it. That's the difference of having a positive to a negative space. Moving or shifting from that positive mentality, right, is so important. Because when you can go into a positive mentality like that, it allows you to rewire your mind to make it more effective. So then big things can happen in your life that obviously are going to lead to suffering, that obviously aren't going to be great, be that illness or death or financial loss or whatever it is, okay? But then you'll be able to frame that in the positive. That doesn't mean to have toxic positivity where you can't feel negative emotions. That's a completely different thing. Feeling negative emotions is normal. Being able to feel pain and to work through pain is just a part of being human. But you don't want to dwell there for too long, You want to maybe feel the suffering. If someone dies, you're going to be sad, you're going to be upset, you're going to mourn them. But at the same time, you're going to get to a point where you have mourned them and then you need to move on. So when you move on, it helps so much to frame things as positive, to frame things as lessons, as experiences in your life that have made you a better person. So if you gained any benefit from this video and you can see the value of framing things to the positive, because I think it's a really powerful thing, and you've got the news and all these media sources that frame things as negative all the time, and it's so easy in this world, especially with the virus and such, to go into a negative thought spiral, that you can maintain that you can think on the positive, and that you create an environment that's positive for you. You hang out with people that are positive. It'd be pretty hard to be positive if you're hanging around with a bunch of friends that are all downers, that are all negative people. So, hanging around with people that can do this too, that can see the tank is half full, that can see the positive, is beneficial. And on top of that, you can actually uplift each other. So if someone does go into a dark pit, you can kind of collectively pull them out with a nice support system of loving people. So if you got any value out of this, give it a like for me. Comment, let me know if you think reframing things to the positive is useful. Has it helped you in your life? And share this with anybody you think it might help, especially if someone is going on those downward spirals. Share it with them so that, I guess, at least if they're open to it, they can be motivated to move into something more inspiring. And on top of that, yeah, subscribe if you want to see more videos. I'm going to keep uploading them and keep sharing what I learn and my insights about life. Apart from that, peace out. Enjoy the rest of your day.